Good morning, folks. Triple Crown coming to you from Vancouver, British Columbia. It is Christmas Eve, so Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you and your family. This is a Global War 1939 series, round 11 update. Well, currently there is a massive buildup in the Pacific. The Japanese having 6 loaded carriers. Another one joining the fray next round, and a couple more down here. There is 2 Yamato class battleships on the board. But currently, because America last turn did a full Pacific build, no Lend-Lease for our Russian friends, no money spent in the armor and infantry shuck to Western Europe. The Americans are now concentrated on the Pacific, and currently, at least numerically, they have 37 units in the water, and the Japanese currently only have 33. Now, the map is a little bit different than other maps in terms of sea zones. Well, even though the Japanese, it's a problem for them in the sense that they cannot hit Hawaii from Tokyo. It is 2 sea zones away. However, they can go 1, 2, 3 and hit Western USA or Canada. So it's a very different map. So Japan has to significantly have an advantage in sheer numbers, because America is going to get an extra turn to buy to see the Japanese coming. Now, the sea zone off San Francisco is safe, but I just want to point out a couple new sculpts that I've not finished painting, but that's the America's new half track from HBG. This is the authentic olive drab World War II paint. Just want to have the details and the decals put on, and this is the priest. So actually that's another half track, but that's the priest. So you can see how dark and cool they are. But it's all painted up, ready to counterattack the Japanese should they do a landing. The Japanese currently only have 2 naval transports in the water, so America's not taking them seriously yet. They've got the Japanese they could bring up 4 transports next turn. The Japanese took the bait, not wanting Australia and New Zealand. They wanted them out of the action because New Zealand still has a build. The UK could still build there if they want. They had 2 infantry there. They wanted to shut it down, so to speak. So they took New Zealand with force, and one of their armor blitzed through to try and take all the rest of the Australian territories. The Japanese now have control all of the Money Islands. They've been strategically picking off one at a time just to make sure they have enough forces to do it. They're trying not to spread themselves too thin. And the Japanese, maybe it was a mistake, they're still building fast movers on the mainland of China and Siam and Shanghai. However, the Japanese armor is expensive. It's I think $8 for a medium tank, whereas everybody else is $6. So it is expensive for Japan to build those on the mainland of China, which historically is accurate. Up here in Vladivostok in China, and this is a big task for the Japanese, to control all of Asia and China and Saigon and Korea and all the CCP and KMT territories, and they do, and that's an actual 7 IPP bonus for Japan. I think they deserve it. It's a lot of work. So currently the Russians have 13 units in Vladivostok. They've got a major factory there still, and Japan can only hit it next turn with 11. However, they are coming. So it's just a matter of time before they force the Russians to either defend it or build more units there, or destroy the factory and retreat and get out. Lots happening on the Eastern Front. I'm sure some of you are wondering, so we're just going to slide over and get into it. Rome was captured by the Allies with ease. All of their aircraft are currently in Turin. I think the British lost maybe 10 or 11 units there. The Italians did not roll well one round, and the Allies did. Their heavy bombers, which are actually 3 at 4, not 4 at 4, and they had 3 of them because one came from Cairo. I think one round the heavy bombers had like 7 or 8 hits, and they're rolling at 4, so that was very good. That sort of tipped the tide. The French took Reims, and the Germans backed out. The America did a landing here, but they've got nothing coming in the Atlantic now. But I just want to talk about what happens when Italy falls. So when Italy falls, now in this game, it does not convert back to the rest of the game as liberated. If the Germans come down and liberate it, it will not turn back. And Italy now, when this happens, is similar to when France is captured. The territories either become co-belligerent or national republican. In order for the territories to go national republican, which is still on the Axis side, there has to be German units present, and there wasn't in any of the Italian territories, and there wasn't any territories in the Far East. So this was an easy transition. So basically, all of the territories immediately flip back. I do not have the correct roundels. However, I will have them, and they're actually, in this scenario, you will place a co-belligerent roundel on instead of the regular Italy roundel, and the very cool looking National Republican roundel for these territories up here if there's German units present or wherever they are. And that is the flag that has the very cool looking eagle on it that I think I've referenced earlier in videos. Now there is a major standoff still happening here, and sometimes Hilltop Hillbox says to me, yes, you're able to do it, but at what cost? There was a heavy cost to take Rome, in the sense that now these units here in Rome are out of position. They're out of position. There's 10 tanks still. There are 9 tanks that are out of position. And currently, well, what did the Germans do in World War II? Well, they had probably the coolest or the most impressive amount of different specialized units in World War II. And last turn, they decided to bring them all into the game. So currently, the Russians, who now have the advantage in Western Europe, because the America also didn't do a build, they have, written it down here. They have 84 units here. 84 units, whereas in Paris, which is 2 spaces away, the Allies only have, sorry, I'm just finding my notes here. Can't even read my own writing. They have, I believe it's 59. So lots of new units brought in by the Germans. They brought the PaK 40 in. They had the heavy artillery for a couple rounds. The Stug 3 tank destroyer. The Hummel self-propelled artillery. They've had the Panzer Grenadiers and the Mark 5s. However, they're still building quite a few. They've got 4 Tiger tanks now. The Panzer 4. The Fallschirmjäger has come back. The SS Panzer Infantry. These are actually painted a Luftwaffe dark green. So once I finish painting them, you'll be able to see some of the details a little bit better. And they purchased finally their Me-262 jet fighter, which is now in the game, and also their their Henkel HE-277 heavy bomber. Now, this is actually an authentic paint job the Germans use. It's kind of got a leopard print on the wings. So only the Germans were this bold with their paint jobs, and this was a lot of fun, finally getting these new units into the game. Something that I wanted to do for a couple of years, so I just wanted to point that out. Now, What I also forgot to mention with the Italian units, the naval units all automatically convert to co-belligerent. So the Italian naval units, they branched out. They've got a couple transports down here. They've got a couple transports. Italy did have a build last turn ready to pick up all these guys in Italy to Brook. And their navy here inside the Med is branched out. They are heading now to the Pacific. So that is 1 battleship, 3 cruisers, and 2 destroyers. And Italy did build 3 infantry in Rome, as their major was downgraded to a minor. And they still have their military base, and see, that's got to be an infantry. But anyways, so they built 4 units here in Africa. Over here on the Eastern Front, well, the Russians' dice were horrible this round. They went into Valpuri and with all their aircraft and a couple infantry, and they were diced horribly. The Germans did a stand. They had 3 units there. They rolled 3 for 3 on round 1, and the Russians retreated because they came in with 3 infantry. The Russians now are pushing the Germans back out of Russia. The Germans currently have about 57 units, and they're being chased by about 65 Russian units. However, the Germans still do have Leningrad or Stalingrad for another round, and they decided to push some fast movers south into the Caucasus and Baku to grab some more money. And the British are backing out of the Middle East. However, the British also built some fancy units of their own. They built a Churchill, a Firefly, and a Grant. So they have some new units happening there. I forgot to mention the Japanese economy. They've got 22 in NO bonuses, and they'll be getting another 3 next turn. They will be getting 25 in NO bonuses, which is similar to the US. And their economy currently is at 126 IPP. The US is at 109. And Russia's economy is currently only 35 with their NO bonus. So they're in a world of hurt. Italy's making 26 next round. France next turn is going to be able to spend their money for the first time. They are making 16 IPP. The British are down to about 45. And so it was a real debate what to do with the Americans last turn. Did they want to... So what's going to happen now? America can only reinforce next turn. This is their basically another 25 units. So currently in Western Europe, the Germans now have the advantage to go on the offensive. They got all these fast movers over here. And they can build more next turn. The Americans did branch out, and they took Yugoslavia and Austria, and also they did a landing in Denmark, in Norway, in Holland, Belgium. However, was that a smart move? Do the Germans really care if they can wipe out in 2 turns this sort of not small but stack here? So that's going to be the debate going forward. And the Japanese now saw this coming. They are now reinforcing Calcutta. Some Italian transports down here outside of the Med. Destroyers have linked up with the British fleet. So that was a bonus. Also now, because there's no Axis units present left in the Northern Africa region, Turkey now flips pro-Allied, so next turn the Allies can come take all this stuff, which is about 14 ground units and a small little navy there. So that is also a significant flip in the Allies' favor. I believe Hilltop and Bill have commented, and I think it's obvious that the game is tilted towards the Allies. However, it's not over yet. Sometimes when you have the advantage, the upper hand, if you get too cute and too fancy like the Americans are trying to do here, instead of just playing defense, trying to go on the offense, does this come back to bite them? They're going to lose an additional, I think that's about 7 units that could be defending Paris. So what's going to happen next round, folks? And in closing here, you know, in World War II, and this is historically accurate, that Germany started to focus on all these Tiger tanks and Mark V's and heavy bombers and jet fighters in World War II. And it was a lot of fun. Even though the Germans are losing, it is still a ton of fun to play Germany. So the question is sometimes, is it worth it in life to spend that extra money you have earned on a new pair of the top of the line ice skates or hockey stick or fancy shoes or a nice suit, or whatever it is? It's a little bit more money than what you would normally pay. And my response to that, folks, is sometimes if you can afford it, well, maybe the Germans can't in this case, but if you can afford it and it makes you happy, I say 100% go and do it. So yeah, I mean, look at all these cool Germany. The JE-52 is there, the HE 277, and also the DO 217. I don't have all the decals put on yet, but yes. So this was a lot of fun to play Germany now with all these different tanks. So what are the Allies going to do? Are they going to have to spend back in Europe next round? Thanks for watching, folks, and stay tuned for round 12.